Hey everybody, it's Eric from epautos.com, your Libertarian car guy, and I'm here in the 2016 Chevy Equinox, which they've updated a little bit for the new model year. It's got a new front clip and a rear clip. Overall, I like this vehicle, but let me show you just one or two of the things about it I'm not a big fan of. One thing that's just kind of funny and cheesy. Look at this really nice interior. It's kind of Camaro themed, Camaro type gauge cluster. You can't see it now, but it's got nice ice blue backlighting. Well, what I want to call your attention to is the one thing that kind of stands out. One thing that looks like they pirated the parts bin for an 82 Chrysler K car, and I hope Chevy doesn't get too mad at me for pointing this out. But look underneath my Valentine 1 radar detector right here, into this little area right here. That's the warning light indicator for the collision avoidance system. And rather than have an LCD digital something modern, here's what you get. Look at the little green car that lights up. There's the little green car. Tells you the collision system is activated. Now I'm going to get a little close to this car in front of me so that you can see the Danger Will Robinson red thing. Hopefully I won't wreck here. Let's see. Get a little closer, get a little closer. There it goes. Look at that. Safety. Then the little red light comes on. Look at that. So that in a 2016 model year car is kind of cute, I think. But it does look a little bit cheesy. The only thing missing is the robotic chime from an 82 Chrysler K car that says, "Your door is ajar, your door is ajar." I don't know where Chevy came up with that. It's pretty funny because you got this nice new LCD touchscreen here with smartphone style integration, all these other nice looking buttons, nicely laid out interior, everything else except for that. All right, enough Chevy abuse. Let's point out some of the other things about the vehicle that are interesting. Stylistically, it looks more like an SUV. It's a crossover, but it looks more Tahoe-ish than some of the other ones in this segment. So if you like a vehicle that looks more like a trucky SUV, you'll probably like this thing more than, say, the Ford Escape. And there's an Escape right there. Take a look. The only other one that's in this class that's sort of kind of similar to that in the SUV-looking department is the Jeep Cherokee. Now, let's point out another couple of things about this Equinox. It still offers a V6, and it's got the strongest V6 in the class. It's the same basic V6 that you'd find in the Camaro, a 3.6-liter V6 with direct injection and 301 horsepower if my addled memory serves me correctly. The next closest thing is the V6 that's in the Cherokee, and I think that's about 270 horsepower. So that's pretty cool. This is one of the most powerful and one of the quickest vehicles in this class when it's ordered with that engine. Okay, now you notice my kind of vocal emphasis on when it's equipped with that engine. So let's talk about the standard engine. The standard engine in this thing, as in a lot of other vehicles in this class, is a 4-cylinder engine. A 2.4-liter engine makes 180-something horsepower. That by itself is actually pretty good. It's better than the Ford Escape standard engine, which is about 164 horsepower. And it's right on par with the Jeep Cherokee's standard engine. But, knew there'd be a but, this is a heavy Chevy. This thing, with the 4-cylinder engine and with front-wheel drive, weighs somewhere over 3,700 pounds. It's as much as a couple hundred pounds heavier than the Ford Escape. And as a result of that, this puppy's pretty slow, and the engine's pretty wheezy. It's okay when you're on flat ground and you're just kind of going from A to B, and in that role, it's actually quite serviceable. And in its defense, you can get it with all-wheel drive. Ford will not sell you their base engine with the all-wheel drive system. You have to move up to one of the more powerful turbocharged 4-cylinder engines to get all-wheel drive. So that's kind of nice that you can get all-wheel drive without being upsold into getting the bigger engine. But be forewarned and go for a test drive. With that engine, it's a pretty slow ride. Best case, you're looking at about 10 seconds to 60, and that's with front-wheel drive. That's with just the driver on board. If you have a full load of people and stuff in the thing and all-wheel drive, you're going to probably be looking at an 11 and a half second or more time to 60, and that's pretty seriously slow. The other thing about it is that nominally it's an economy engine, and on paper the EPA gives it a pretty good rating. It gets something like 32 on the highway and what, 24 or something like that. I can't remember, but that's close in city driving. But let me tell you, if you actually drive this thing in realistic conditions, meaning you actually push down on the gas pedal, you're going to find that your mileage is considerably less. I don't know if you'll be able to pan in here and look. I've been driving this thing for a week now, and the best I've gotten, I'm 22.7. So that means that I've been getting probably mid-teens in the city and mid-20s out on the highway. It's not atrocious for a fairly large SUV, but it sure isn't great, especially when you take into account that you've only got a little four-cylinder under the hood. As I wrote in my the article, which will shortly be up on the site at epautos.com, this thing weighs almost exactly as much as my antique muscle car. I have a 76 Pontiac Trans Am, and it weighs about 3,800 pounds, give or take. But it also has a 7.4 liter, 455 cubic inch V8 under the hood, and so the weight of it is not as obvious. The thing actually moves. It sucks gas, but it moves. This thing sucks gas and it doesn't move. So you'll want to take that into account when you go for a test drive. And again, to be fair to Chevrolet, the same thing is true of all the other vehicles that this thing competes with that have four-cylinder engines, in particular the ones that have turbocharged engines. It's kind of a shuck and jive. They can post really favorable sounding fuel economy numbers, because if you don't get into the turbo too much, yeah, the thing will get you pretty good gas mileage. But if you don't get into the turbo, the thing won't go anywhere. If you push your foot down and use the turbo, you're going to watch the gas needle go down. Those little turbo 4s, many of them, will drink almost as much, and sometimes as much or even more than a larger, powerful V6, such as the one that's optional in this thing. So that's enough of a rant about the drivetrain. The last point that I would make is that the Equinox has, generally speaking, a more favorable balance overall interior as far as the balance between cargo space and people space. The Ford Escape has more cargo space, but if you look into it, you'll find that the back seat's really tight. This thing's got a nice roomy back seat and lots of cargo, so it's more balanced. The Hyundai Santa Fe, which is another vehicle in this class, is very competitive. It actually has more room. However, they charge more for it, and like the Escape, it's a four-cylinder only deal. So the Equinox is a pretty solid contender in the segment. If you're looking at a vehicle of this type, it's definitely worth going to the Chevy store and having a look at it. Just be sure that you test drive it with that four-cylinder engine, and and make sure you can live with the power and the performance of the four-cylinder engine before you commit. If I were going to buy this vehicle, I would personally want the V6, but you know, I'm a lead foot and your mileage may vary. Anyway, thanks for viewing, and the text review is going to be up on the site, epautos.com, very soon. There's also some rants up there about the inanity of drunk driving laws and various other politically incorrect items of conversation. So we'll catch up with you next time, and thank you.